The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, and welcome to the HDSA Caregivers Corner webinar series. Before we begin our presentation, I would like to go over how to ask a question, as well as how to access this webinar again after completion. Questions will be answered after the presentation is over. However, you can send a question at any time. To send your question, just go to your control panel that you see on the right-hand side of the screen, type in your question in the panel, and hit send. Approximately 1 week after this webinar's broadcast, you'll be able to access it for viewing on our national website. To access the presentation, go to www.hdsa.org and scroll down the homepage to the frequently used shortcuts section. You will see a link to Caregivers Corner as well as the PowerPoint presentations. You can also access all of our webinars in the Living with HD section. And now I am so pleased to turn it over to Kathleen Samolsky, today's presenter, who will be presenting on assistive technology. Kathleen has written on this topic in the Marker magazine, and she was an expert at our last convention, and she did this broadcast. She's presented on this before, and she's doing it again by popular demand. Thank you so much, and I'd like to turn it over to Kathleen.
Okay, hello everybody. It's good to be here. I thank you, Jane, for that nice introduction. We're going to talk today about facilitating access and communication through the use of assistive technology. I'm an assistive technology consultant. I work for Wayne County Schools in Michigan. So my typical population are students and a lot of them are extremely impaired and have a lot to deal with. So my job is to help them access their curriculum, access their environment through the use of various assistive technologies. So there's my email, and if anybody has any questions anytime, just email me and I will get back to you. So let's talk about the agenda a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to start with an overview of what is assistive technology. And then from there, we're going to talk about the process for selecting AT. We're going to talk about some HD symptoms, and then what we'll do with that is relate the symptoms to the tasks that need to be completed that are becoming more and more difficult due to HD symptoms. Then we will eventually look at the AT tools, assistive technology tools, and we'll match them to the tasks. And then we'll do our Q&A. Regarding the Q&A, assistive technology is really a process, so it might be an ongoing conversation that I could have with you for how to try different things. I look forward to your questions, and any question is a good question, so you guys feel free to get those typed in. So I have a daughter, and her name is Kelly. She's 8 years old, and I'm married to Adam. Adam is HD positive, and at 39 years old, he's showing a little bit of some early symptoms. I'm an educator, have lots of friends, and I have my parents, I'm a daughter, and I'm a caregiver. And that's something I really struggled with. I'm in the caregivers study, it's like this caregiver study group, and I really resisted that term because he's doing so well. And I don't want to think of, having to be a caregiver until it's really here. And Elizabeth, the woman in charge, said to me, you take care of your daughter, people take care of you. And she really put it in perspective for me that, of course, I'm a caregiver. And I'm a caregiver to more people than just my husband. So obviously, Huntington's disease is very close to my heart, and like many of you, it's changed the course of my life. Kelly, I did testing before she was born, and she was HD negative, so we were very blessed for that. So as an educator, I work with students with learning disabilities, ASD. I have students with multiple impairments, like some rare situations like muscular dystrophy. If there was a student with juvenile Huntington's disease, they would qualify for assistive technology services. I work through a federally funded grant due to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. And this law, as many of you know, ensures that services to children with disabilities throughout the nation, and that governs how state and public agencies provide early intervention. So if anybody has a friend, relative, or experience with somebody with JHD, that's just important to keep in mind. Adam tested gene positive in 1999 after his mother died, and his mom died at the age, she died in 99, she was 52. And I'm glad to be here. I hope I'm doing something to help, because I know we're all here to support each other. So what's assistive technology? I mean, it really could be anything. Assistive technology is adaptive and rehabilitative devices for people with disabilities, and it can range from low to high tech. I mean, I might give one student lined paper that is raised to help them with their writing. That's really low tech. It could be some, a really expensive computerized communication device. So it helps so that it allows people to function in their environments. For example, I mean, my disability, it's kind of silly, but I mean, I cannot tell I have no sense of direction. I can't. If I think you go left, it means you go right. And so GPS is my example of assistive technology in my life on a day-to-day basis. When my daughter was a little girl, this is before I had my GPS, we were going somewhere, and she was probably 3, and she said, "Mommy, where's your map?" Because I always printed out a MapQuest map before I went anywhere. And I said, "Kelly, I know how to get some places." So that's an example of, assistive technology. We all use it, but with people with disabilities, it allows them to access things that they really are losing access to. So there's a process, like I was saying about the question. I mean, the process is ongoing. What works one year might be not what's best the following year, and on and on. So it's important to know that, it's not just putting in a assistive technology piece in place and then you're done, because that's not the way it works. Assistive technology does promote independence, so that it enables people to perform tasks that they were formerly unable to accomplish or had great difficulty accomplishing. That's really good. I mean, we all want to have our independence and our dignity, and assistive technology is one way that we can give that to people with disabilities. Last, breaks down barriers and provides enhancements to or methods of interacting with the technology in order to accomplish tasks. So it's really important to think about that independence and barriers issue, because we need to really consider them in the process. So when we do this process, because it's very frequently, it's like, oh, I want to get an iPad, and that's just, boom, going to fix everything. And we really have to first look at the individual. And I'm using Joy Zabala's SET framework. So this would be, she would do student environment task tool, but we're going to talk about individual because it's an individual with HD. Environment, so where is the person living, located, etc. What tasks need to be accomplished to promote independence and break down those barriers? And then what tool then will allow us to complete the task? A lot of times, myself included, people jump to high tech when it's like, hold on a second. If we use highlighters, that's what's really going to help this person. So the tool is only as good as the support and the decision-making process. I mean, there's no magical solutions. It's human nature. We all want to jump to the tool first, but it's a much larger process than that. So this is what we consider when we really think about putting assistive technology in place. So what does that mean, the IETT? We look at the individual first, and what are we going to say about that individual? Well, what are their current abilities? What can they already do? And then what are the needs that need to be met? And are there any functional areas of concern? And then what does this individual need to be able to do that's difficult or not possible to be accomplished independently? I mean, current abilities could be what they can write with a pen, type with a keyboard, walk, control a wheelchair, complete crosswords. The special needs could be being visually impaired, hearing impaired, physically impaired. So we're going to talk about some of the physical and then obviously the cognitive and psychiatric issues and how we can address those with individuals with HD by using assistive technology. What do they need to accomplish? Do they need to be able to write, type, turn a page? So that's what we think of when we look at the individual. Then we take a look at the environment. Where is this individual located? What activities take place in the environment? What's the physical arrangement? What's the setup? Where are we going to put things? How are they going to touch it? How are they going to access it? And then what assistive technology is already in place. So there might be something there already that we can piggyback or switch out, or is not working, or is working just great. So, I mean, we have to consider wheelchairs, walkers, is a hospital bed? Do we need access to television, the phone, tables, chairs? Where's the bedroom located? All those kind of things come into play when we talk about the environment. And then the task is just that, like what do we want to accomplish? What's going to occur? What tasks in that environment? Is it home care? Self-care? We're going to do some work-related tasks. So those are some of the things that we consider when we look at tasks. And then lastly, we get to the tool. And the tool is the assistive technology device. The tools are devices and services and anything that can help the student or the individual participate in access learning programs. But are the tools, considered on a continuum, like I was saying, from low tech to high tech? Quite frequently, low tech is easier than high tech. It's easier to navigate. It's easier to have people learn how to facilitate the use of the assistive technology. So it's important for all of us to remember that low tech can sometimes be as simple as, eye gaze on a poster board with some choices. Are the tools human-centered and task-oriented so that we are focusing on the task and what they need to do in order to break down barriers? And then why are these tools being considered? Are they features, or is it brand names? Is it an iPad because it's an iPad, or is it smartphone technology because of the touch access? So that's what we think about when we think about the tool. So now, what makes good AT? Well, I think it's going to level the playing field, break down those barriers, allow access to the environment. It's going to work in multiple settings so that I don't have to be just hooked into this one table at this one wall that's where I can access this. It's got to work in cross settings. For that reason, it's really nice if it's portable, easy to move around with the person. That's another really important thing. And then there's some really complicated assistive technology devices that people have a difficult time maintaining. We want it to be easy. Caregivers need to be able to get this AT set up and maintain it on an ongoing basis. As the individual with HD, they want to be able to maintain that as much as they can. Huge, huge, huge. Affordable. Affordable to replace, affordable to maintain. Everybody's on a limited budget, and it's just really important to consider that with our AT. Reliable technological support. In my line of work, I've really, really learned when something goes wrong, try not to waste your time trying to figure it out. If you can't figure it out quickly, call technical support. These people really do help you. And it's so funny because somebody will tell me their problem. I'll say, I'll get back to you. I'll call technical support, which really any of us could do. Then I'll get back to them and tell them how to fix it, and then they think I'm a hero, so that's fun. But okay, accessible training format, like I was saying, you need to be able to figure out how to use it. Online tutorials, manuals that are printable, even, an in-person training that comes with it. So, what do we know about this individual? Well, we know that individual has Huntington's disease. And we all know that Huntington's is a devastating hereditary and degenerate brain order for which there is, at present, no cure. And it's really important that we think about early interventions for people with Huntington's disease in terms of assistive technology. I'm going to be saying that over and over again. And I kind of laugh at myself because, we often do things in our line of work that we don't turn around and do at home. And I'm saying early intervention, early intervention. Well, this is scary stuff, and really having it come into my life can be hard to really face some of the realities. we banked Kelly's cord blood. We're hopeful for some breakthroughs, but right now, if somebody has the gene and they're HD positive, they're going to get HD, and that's the case with my husband. So we know that the individual has HD, which means they might deal with depression or mood swings. They might also have some forgetfulness, short-term memory, losing track of time, clumsiness and lack of coordination, and some problems even with impulse control. And then, of course, there's movement, so the involuntary twitching, problems walking and getting around, problems speaking and swallowing, and then somebody's cognitive ability being affected. So that's what we know about this individual. This is a special individual. This is somebody that we love who has Huntington's disease, and these are the symptoms that they're having to deal with, and the people in their lives are also trying to help them, to facilitate getting around these barriers. We know that the environment could be your family home, it could be 1 floor, 2 floors, it could be an apartment. Do we need access to sidewalks? Are there elevators? What does that environment look like? Is the individual in a group home, assisted living? Are they in a hospital? What do these rooms look like? Who's going to be able to help them in this environment with the assistive technology when we can't be there? And nursing home, are they working? Are they driving? What do these individuals need in order to have their environment be engineered for this assistive technology? So then we think about the task. Okay, what's the task? It's anything you want to do. I want to get to the right school, so I use my GPS. Okay, so that's my task. I need to get where I'm supposed to be and be on time for appointments. So that's connected to the environment, because I'm in my car and that's where this is, etc. So these tasks can be work tasks, running the home, staying independent at home, or caring for your family, caring for yourself. Tasks mean self-care, chores around the house. This could be laundry, unloading the dishwasher, sweeping. It could be work activities like using a phone, a computer, keyboarding, taking medicine, picking kids up from school, yard work. All those things are tasks that we want to complete in our everyday lives, and that an individual with HD wants to be able to do as long as possible as well. So that's the task that we have for an individual with Huntington's disease. And then there's the tool. So what are some tools? What are some assistive technologies that can be effectively used to better enable our loved ones with HD? So again, I'm just going to reiterate this because we have to focus on what the struggles are, what the symptoms are, what the person might be struggling with. Is it speaking, communication? Is it forgetfulness and short-term memory, depression and mood swings, clumsiness, involuntary twitching? Is it the chorea? Is it walking and swallowing, and a cognitive ability and impulse control? What I did is I looked at these symptoms and I thought, well, where can we promote some independence with those? And what assistive technologies did I want to hone in on? That we can start programming and putting into place and getting around and getting people ready, used to using, so that when it's not like, oh, my loved one can't speak anymore, now I'm going to bring in a communication device. These are things that we should really be planning for in advance. And personally, that's a really scary concept, but it's the reality. Speaking and communication, I know we can do stuff with assistive technology for that. When my mother-in-law was in the nursing home, I really never knew her as, she was lovely, Patricia Smolsky, and I never really knew her. Although Adam and I were together in high school, it was one of those situations where he probably was embarrassed, and there was that whole secrecy piece going on. So I never met her in high school, and then I met her when she was in a group home before she fell, and then she went into a nursing home. And so she was basically nonverbal. She could say hug and a couple of things, and Adam understood her better than I did. But I never knew her as a communicative person, and kind of breaks my heart because I didn't do what I do now and didn't know what I know now. I washed her hair with dry shampoo. I didn't know what to do to help her. And I wish I would have known that, you can bring some augmentative communication systems into place to help someone with their speaking and communication. This forgetfulness and short-term memory bit, that whole losing track of time and not getting places, this is a really strong area where we can work in assistive technology at an earlier age. to get things in place. We all do this. We all do this. Right now I have an assistive technology going to like help me keep track of time. So we all set timers when we are making cookies. These are things we do naturally, and it's important to have that become habitual early on. Some of the depression and mood swings that accompany Huntington's disease, we can address that with assistive technology. Help with the cognitive ability by trying to stay sharp using various assistive technologies. And then the impulse control. Now, a lot of these kind of, and like when I was at the convention and went to presentation on cognitive issues or the psychiatric issues, they do end up overlapping in a lot of ways, and that's the same with the assistive technology. One thing could work for many things, and so I'm going to try not to be redundant in what I'm talking about. So let's start off with speaking and communication. And this is a really complicated area because we want our loved ones to be able to communicate, and when HD affects speech, that becomes a major issue. And if somebody is having physical issues with the speaking, writing might not be an option. So augmentative and assistive technology, communication, AAC, it's an early intervention strategy. So we want to put this into place early, even before it's needed. And we want to make sure we include expressive and receptive language. So receptive language is the process of understanding what's being said to us. Expressive language is what the words and sentences we use to communicate what we think, we need, we want. But both categories are fundamental in order to be able to communicate with others as well as to understand when others communicate with us. So we have, AAC devices with a dynamic display. And I'm going to show you some pictures. This would be portable electronic devices with text-to-speech capability. There are some really basic, it could be pushing a button that says, I need help. That could be a device that's very elaborate and then that is really programmable and really easy to personalize. So then there's low tech. You get a posters, folders set up, portable cards that people can pull out. And then the access to this is really important because if I'm no longer a mouse user because of twitching and involuntary movements, there's other ways to access electronics, computers, communication devices. Touch screens are a great option these days. There's alternative mice, so there's, doesn't have to be your typical standard mouse. There's other types of mice that we can use. Scanning and switch access, if that's just, I'm not going to get too much into that, but that's a really good option. There's things that work just with eye gaze. I mean, we're talking expensive, but you could do eye gaze with your folders and your posters. And then we need to access these things, often have them available with the mounting arms so that they're available for the individual to have with them wherever they go, especially if they can't carry it around. So programming for communication, we want to start this early because if somebody can't speak to you, they can't tell you what they want to be able to say on their device. So even before, and when I do, I'm going to show you some pictures of a dynamic display. When I do this with people, I say, just like write it down on a piece of paper, make boxes and put in what you want to be able to touch and have say. Or folders that are going to pop up, because just drawing it on a piece of paper that's good enough for when you need it later, and then we can either program a device or make some low-tech supports. We want to think about the continuum of the day. So what are the tasks that we're going down throughout our day? We want to go beyond choice making. What do you want for dinner? Oh, okay, I want mashed potatoes. That's a choice, and choices are really important. The communication is more than choice making, and if we think about the things that we say to one another on a daily basis, that goes way beyond. That goes way beyond just making choices. So you look at the day and how does this support the day, and then if there's a task that needs to be accomplished, for example laundry, there could be, okay, I'm doing laundry, and then so this can work as a communication device and also as a scheduling type deal. So that what do I need to do laundry? Well, I need to separate the colors, and I need to put the laundry in the washing machine. I need to add the laundry detergent, and I need to close the door. I need to close the door to the laundry detergent place where you put it in, whatever that's called, and then I need to turn it on. I need to make sure the signal's on so I know when it's done. So this can all be programmed in to help with the communication. You know, morning routines, breaking down tasks like brushing your teeth. I got to brush my teeth, wash my face, get dressed, and eat breakfast. And within each of those categories, there's more language for somebody to use. So I'm going to show you an example of a dynamic display device. Let me just name a couple. I'm not brand dropping. I tried to avoid that the first time I did this, but I do have to mention, you know, Dynavox, Tobii. Those are like $8,000 to $10,000 devices once you get them mounted and have the access. Those are really, those are dynamic display devices that offer a lot of programming opportunities to really individualize that for your loved ones. The iPod Touch smartphone technology has really, really changed everything. Because rather than spending $8,000, I can spend $500 on the iPad, $229 on iPod Touch, and then buy an app that will do the various things. So that's when we talk about portable and affordable. Yes, that sounds expensive, but comparatively, you know, that. And I don't work for Apple. I'm not promoting one thing over the other. I mean, it could be a little computer. It can be anything. But so your dynamic display is something that looks like this. And what this would do is I'm going to play my little friend on my iPad so you can kind of hear what what this sounds like. So I'm under the help menu and you can't see it, but I can say, okay. I
need help. I feel sick. Something hurts. I have a headache. My stomach hurts.
Okay, so there's all kinds of choices, and the folders that you see open up to something else. So if we look at morning routine, then we go on an outing, and then we have our lunch routine, we do our chores, we relax, we have a dinner routine, and then I have a PM routine that helps me get to bed. So that's kind of a nice way to do it because the language should accompany what's going on throughout the day. So next, there would be the sub-menu. So under AM routines now it says, okay, well I'm going to eat breakfast, brush my teeth, shower, wash my face, and get dressed. And within those folders, then there's language to help communicate. I'm going to show you two things. The first one is like a breakdown in steps. So I'm going to brush my teeth, and it's, you know, break down the tasks so that, okay, what do I have to do first? Oh, first I have to get out my toothbrush and my toothpaste, put the toothpaste on the toothbrush, and these can all be tapped and it will talk. Or it's breakfast time, and what do you want for breakfast? Well, I want, you know, and these can be completely individualized so that these are food choices that our loved ones with Huntington's disease can, you know, have their choices of what they want. You can use real pictures or you can use symbols. You don't need any pictures. I'm working with a different population, and a lot of these kids really need the pictures. But so you can really make this how you want it. You can, because of direct select, somebody might need a larger target if they were using a touch screen, and so you can make the items different sizes so that they're more accessible, and that's a really big deal. So in a nutshell, that's kind of an example of communication and augmentative devices, or augmentative communication devices. We do a lot with this. It's really, I would really be interested in doing this with an individual with Huntington's disease. I think this could be really helpful, and I mean, the big deal is to do this early on, set up what you need to say. I mean, I can't imagine somebody handing me a device that they made choices about what I wanted to say, and I didn't know where things are located. I wasn't a part of the programming process, and now I'm supposed to use this to communicate. I'm really, I got that, Jane, thanks. So just ideas to keep in mind. So we have about 15 minutes left before your questions. Let's talk about some of the memory and short-term memory and forgetfulness issues. So timers are huge. Visual schedules, I will tell you that on smartphones, iPads, there are timers and visual schedules. I really think that smartphones are a huge, huge advantage for somebody to have for a lot of reasons. I mean, the text history, if you text somebody the day before and you don't remember what you texted them about, and then there's that whole running back and forth, back and forth. So timers, visual schedules, using picture phones. So pictures, so you have like in your smartphone or on your phone or whatever, you know, a picture of who it is that you're calling. The medication reminders, I will tell you that that's one thing that we've already done because of the CREST study, taking creatine twice a day can be hard to remember. It's kind of a commitment. You have to be ready to have that in your stomach too. So pill organizers, to-do lists. So if you think about a lot of these things, medication reminder, that could be a note on the refrigerator, or it could be an alarm on your smartphone, or it could be a different type of alarm setup. Pill organizer, I have one. It's just a piece of plastic that I put my pills in. So that could be low tech. I mean, these are just some things that are really nice to get in place early on. The to-do lists, I have a to-do list. Well, I have a list that says it's my travel list, and anytime I go anywhere, it tells me all the things that I usually bring when I go out of town, and I kind of don't travel light, so you know, the hair dryers, all that stuff. So it gives me a list, and I check it off, and I bring it with me, and when I'm done, I check it off when I repack. Or camping checklist, I do that with the same thing. I don't have to remember each year what I use to camp. So these are assistive technologies. All of us probably use this stuff. Grocery lists, toiletries, but putting them in place so that it's early enough, and then they can be used to promote independence for the person with the individual with HD. The visual schedules are a big deal because of the routine and the need for routine and predictability in order to avoid that impulse control and things like that, and then video reminders. So this is a visual timer. This is actually what I have going, and I'm not doing a very good job watching it because I think I'm running a little behind. So the low-tech one on the left, that's just a visual timer that shows a half hour. I love that. That's why I have mine on right now, because it just tells me how much time. I don't even really have to think about it. You can see, if you can see that in a geometrical way, it's really helpful. And then the other one is an app. So we were having a hard time remembering to turn off our sprinklers, so I did a sprinkler alarm, so that would be, I think, 15 minutes, and then that would go off. So, so that's an app. This is another one, and I'm not promoting apps, it's just that this is so incredibly changing the playing field, what you can do on a smartphone or iPod device. So that's another timer. This one, this is for the multitasker. So this is 3 timers going on at the same time, and as somebody who multitasks, I don't know if I necessarily want to do that, but anyway, so those are some apps and some examples of timers. It could be an egg timer, it can be anything, but you have to have a system in place. This is a visual schedule, so I don't know if anybody makes lists. It's like a to-do list, but it's talking about the routine, and then checking off when going through these different items. So a visual schedule is predictable, which is calming. It's consistent. It removes the impulsivity. We can check things off as we go. We can add voice reminders and alarms, personal photos and symbols, and have multiple schedules saved so that, you know, okay, I'm done with my morning routine, and now I'm going on an outing, and next I have lunch, and I get to check those things. Who doesn't like checking things off their lists? I mean, it's always fun. So visual schedules, and this is an app also on a smartphone. This you could be using something called a Go Talk. It's just buttons you push. There could be 4, there could be 6, or there could be 4, 9, or 20. There's lots of different devices and ways to do schedules. A schedule could be on a piece of paper, you know, very low tech. Medication reminders. This is another app. This is free, and it just is a reminder, and it goes off when it's time to take your medicine. You can put in all your medicines, what they look like. It allows you to say, okay, that pill, I don't know if that one's accurate, but you know, is it a round pill, is it a square pill, is it ovular, is it long, is it white, is it yellow? And so it allows that as well. So promoting some independence. I know that a lot of individuals with HD caregivers have a hard time getting their loved ones to consistently take their medication, and that's really important. So, you know, that's what that looks like, and you just program it in, and that's a medication reminder. There's all kinds of ways we could do that. But assistive technology for medication reminders is a really good tool to be using. When we get into depression and mood swings, it's kind of hard. It's sometimes hard for me to think about ways to use assistive technology. I know that I see a lot of individuals on Facebook, and I think that having that connection is a huge relief of the depression and mood swings for individuals with HD. So things we can do with assistive technology, we can use music. I know lots of people that just love music, and that activity alone can be calming and help with depression and mood swings. So having that on portable devices that can be taken with an individual, or just having it set up so that they can access the station or the CD or whatever it is. Watching TV, watching movies, that can also be, and this isn't, you know, used as assistive technology. This is to help somebody calm them down. I know that when I watch a show, I have my shows, and that's total downtime, and it helps me relax. Games are a big deal for a couple reasons. I mean, it helps with the depression and mood swings. I know I play a game on my smartphone called Words with Friends, and it's Scrabble, and I play it with my mother in New York. I play it with one of my girlfriends in Indiana. I have another friend in Illinois, and it's not that I love playing Scrabble that much. It's that I love that I'm playing Scrabble with somebody that I don't get to see. And if I'm feeling isolated or alone and missing people, I think that the assistive technology and the way that it's allowing us to connect across, you know, borders like that is a really valuable thing to keep in mind. So games, you know, write hard copy, crossword puzzles, that type of thing, or, you know, using your technology to get these games in their place where they can access it. Maybe it's easier to access Scrabble with a touch than it is to use the pieces, and even then you might not have anybody to play with. Like I said, social networking, I mean, Facebook, I see so much activity from individuals affected by HD in one way or the other, and I think that that support is huge. And now it's important too to also remember, like, having access to these things as maybe movements become difficult, and there's ways to do that. Having digital books so that, you know, you can listen to it. I have an app on my phone so I can play books. I can enlarge the text. I can just sweep to turn the page. So these are all things that are available, and it's therapeutic. Very systematic procedure is in place. Okay, this is going to be habitual. We do this on a regular, ongoing basis. This is part of the whole how we do things. So we have many AT systems for memory loss, lots and lots of things, lots of reminders, lots of ways to stay on task, keep that recognition of how much time is going by, and having predictability and routine, that can keep our moods more stable as well. So let's talk about one of my favorite things. Lack of coordination. No, that's not one of my favorite things, although I do actually have lack of coordination at times. But when individuals with HD do have lack of coordination, that might be a problem with accessing a computer, using a keyboard. So we could use a large keyboard, a large key keyboard. That would be something really simple. But one of my favorite things is word prediction. And some of us have it on our phones where it kind of predicts what you're going to say. And mine self-complete, so sometimes I send texts that make absolutely no sense. But word prediction is when it guesses what you're going to be saying. So what that does is helps me with my, you know, not misspelling because I'm hitting the wrong keys. It also helps me reduce keystrokes and save time. There's different types of mice that we can use that make it easier to get to. For example, this is a mouse I really like because if I have a hard time with spasticity and with my hands, and those two buttons were raised, I'm going to hit the yellow and the red that are recessed. Those are our clicks, and so I can use the tracker ball and slow down my mouse to roll, and then I could use one of either of those to click, because if I have some twitching and involuntary movements, a lot of mice are going to click them when I don't intend. So this is an example of something that gives you more of an intent to click with the mouse. So word prediction is something that I really like. The adapted mice are great. Touch screens are a really nice asset these days. And then switch access, which is an alternative way to access when you can't use your hand, when as an individual is no longer able to use their hand. So I have an example. These are switches, and I'm not going to talk about them because, and that's a toggle switch, but those would be the alternative ways. And if anybody wants to get into that, if they have a loved one or somebody they know with HD that can't access physically using their hands, then this is a really good option. This is word prediction. So one of the communication apps that we use has this in it, so that, as you can see, it can really, and I'm going to say it can, I was trying to say reduce, but I didn't say that. Anyway, so you can see all the choices, and if you touch on those, then it throws the word right in. It's really, really nice. It really reduces keystrokes, and there's certain software programs we use. Co-Writer is one. If you're using your computer a lot, it's an amazing word prediction program that can work within anything. It will work on Facebook. It will work within Microsoft Word. So there's options for getting these software programs and word predictions on your devices that you're using at home. So that is our word prediction, and this is just one example of how word prediction looks on a screen. So iPod technology. And my dad and I had this conversation, and he said, "What's an app?" I said, "You know, it just does." And I tried to explain. He's like, "I don't get it." And I know I see that people do get confused about what an app is. So this is a picture of a smartphone. This could be an iPad if you wanted something big. They look like a shortcut. So this little Facebook shortcut, this app, will take me directly to Facebook, my Facebook app page, where I can engage using Facebook, not quite as much as I would on my computer, but I can definitely use that. They function as software. So there's a Google app, so that would, you know, you're doing exactly what you would do when that's a search engine. They function as software, so they have a specific purpose. This Drag and Dictate app, I can talk into my phone, and then it puts the text on the screen. 3 free apps that we can use. So they have unique purposes. I mean, if we went to the movie was sold out, I wanted to go to this movie, I said, there's got to be a movie, and we didn't know where to go. There was a movie phone app. There's an app for pretty much everything you can imagine, large button calculator app, types of things that we might, so if you can think it, we can probably find it. And that's what's changing the playing field for a lot of us, because portable devices that are comparatively inexpensive. We're still working on that whole piece with Medicare covering this, because right now it's considered a personal device for pleasure, and so there's not a lot that you can do. There's two sizes. Okay, so your iPod Touch that's my husband holding that, and so he's holding that by his shirt pocket, and that's the same size as an iPhone. And then here he has it in his pocket. Small, lightweight, you can do FaceTime, so you know how if you ever do video conferencing / Skyping on your computer, that really helps keep people in touch, helps with depression. And now this iPods come with FaceTime, so you can actually go face-to-face with somebody if they have FaceTime too. And it's really nice for helping people stay connected and avoiding the blues, the depression, and those outbursts and all the things that we deal with. And then there's the iPad. And so now you can see he's holding that, so you can see the size difference is noticeable. It again also has a camera, digital recorder, built-in microphone. I mean, there are things that we can do with our phones and with these devices. All of us, this assistive technology is amazing. If you want to remember to get certain grocery lists, you could take pictures of things around the house to make a grocery list, or you could take a picture of how something was set up that you want to redo that way. We could be taking video so that I could rewatch that. So those can be things that help us with lists and memory, and also keep us happy. I mean, these are fun devices that my iPhone makes me really happy. I mean, there's so many things I do with it, and it helps me stay organized. So this has a camera, digital recorder, built-in microphone, built-in speakers, and the nice thing is it has a 10-hour battery life when in use. Again, I don't work for Apple. I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying that this is like the technology that's really breaking down barriers. And this is old, you know, it's just a little over a year old, the iPad is. So if you guys have questions down the road, HD is near and dear to my heart. I would do anything I could to help anybody with anything that they needed. So that's my email address, and that's the best way to get in touch with me. And now I think maybe we have some time for questions, and I'm not sure if we have any questions, but I'd be happy to answer anything we have. Hope this has been helpful for you. So, do I need to stop showing my screen or change presenter? We're just waiting to get the questions together.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi there,
So,
Jane.
okay, so I see a few questions, and so I'm going to read them. So the first question, when you say start early with assistance for communication, how early do you mean? Is it before somebody has issues with expressive communication but has other symptoms?
So you mean early on in terms of, the question is between what and what?
I think, yes, somebody wants to know when you start in terms of communication. Do you start when, you know, before somebody needs that, but when somebody has other symptoms, or when?
Well, the way I look at it is if I knew that I was going to have to deal with something like Huntington's or Alzheimer's in my future, I'm 36 years old, 38, 30, I'm 38, so I should have 36. I would want to do it now. I would want to start programming for myself now. I mean, that's something that is at your discretion. I mean, I will say that we haven't done anything for Adam at this point. So I can only say that it's really, I would say the earlier the better, within, you know, realistic boundaries.
Okay, thank you. And another question that came in is, how effective are low-tech options like handwritten lists versus some of the higher-tech options?
Well, I guess it just depends on the individual, but I mean, a handwritten list can work well if somebody can write well and has that, or you have it in place for them to use. If they need something more interactive then and visual, then that's when an electronic or digital list comes in handy, because then you can add those other elements to it. It's like anything. I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. It's a process. So if I start low tech and I do some handwritten lists and I have them saved, then I can use those. And if that's not working, or there's just too many lists and they're all over the place, I'm like, where's this list? So it might be an organization issue. I mean, I would always start with low tech, but I will say that with the smartphone technology, you can have your lists and your communication and your timers and your games, everything in one small portable device, and that's what kind of makes that special.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Can you, actually, a few questions came in about this. You said that Medicare doesn't reimburse. So somebody asked about Medicaid, and then somebody asked more generally about insurance coverage of assistive communication.
Well, yes. If something is used like a Dynavox or a Tobii, those are really expensive devices, but they will be covered. Medicaid, Medicare recognizes them as medical devices. Right now, not that smartphone technology, because it's too much of a personal device. I mean, somebody said that maybe they were thinking about covering the price of the medical apps that people put on the devices, but I don't know that to be true.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So a little bit more generally, do you have advice for somebody, helping somebody accept the fact that they may need assistive technology when they may be somewhat in denial about being less than independent?
Well, a lot of times it might help to show something like not coming at, they say don't kill the messenger. A lot of times it might be better to show somebody using it, or show a YouTube video of how somebody's using it, or a demonstration, or get in somebody else who's not as close to the individual to be the one to kind of bring it up or talk about, hey, this is so cool, and I use this with this, and that's one way to do it. I mean, I don't know. I know what that feels like to be, I don't want to hurt his feelings, and but I also can see that there's, the time management is one of the early things that really becomes a struggle. So you just have to be as diplomatic as possible. I wish I knew the answer to that, because I know the feeling of being worried that how do you get this person to get on board. So I just think try to be as diplomatic as possible and try to use outside sources to show the efficacy.
Thank you. So another question that came in is how somebody can find out more about talk-to-text.
Oh, was it speech recognition when you talk and then it can be on the screen?
Mm-hmm.
That's called speech recognition, and Dragon Naturally Speaking is a really hefty software program. It works really, really well. It's under $100, and you install it on your computer, and then I can speak and it will type what I say. I need to be able to speak clearly and articulately in order for that to work, which is why a lot of times it's not the best for some of my students. But if somebody can speak clearly and articulately, it trains to your voice, so even though it might make some mistakes at first, it learns your speech patterns and how things work. So that's speech recognition software. I would Google it just to find out more. There's SpeakQ, that's another software program. And then on the iPad devices, if you have Wi-Fi, you can use the Dragon Dictation, which is a free app. Speech recognition software is amazing, and it's a great tool. It's the audience for it has to be, it was created for business professionals. That's who it's geared at. So when we use it in assistive technology, it's just a gift when it works, because it can be amazing.
That's great. And can you just more generally talk about, you mentioned a lot of different technologies. Can you recommend some strategies for people that want to research how these different things work and different sites that they can go to?
Why don't I look into that and get back to you, Jane, and then maybe you could post it. I don't really know offhand. I mean, again, I would Google.
Mm-hmm.
I can always be of a resource to somebody if they have something like a task that they're looking to have completed by their loved one, and then we can find a way to do that. But I don't know of a specific site. There are some places, there are some like RESNA, R-E-S-N-A, and some other organizations that do focus on assistive technology. I can get you those sites a little bit later.
Thank you so much. So everybody, we have about 5 more minutes left, so if you have additional questions, just send them to us. It looks like Kathleen has answered all of the questions. Thank you so much, Kathleen, for presenting and for asking. And again, Kathleen, everyone on Kathleen is a really, really great resource. So if anyone has any questions for Kathleen on your individual situation, you know, she's able to answer those. But thank you so much, Kathleen, for presenting.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure.